back to the channel. Today is my July book haul, and as always I'm going to go through the 25 books I bought in July. Yes, I had to erect a new set of shelves so I can keep buying 25 books every month, because that's how it's going at the moment. There are some new releases in here. As always, I'm going to go through these in kind of the highest price first, all the way down to the very, very low bargains. We're basically going to cut into three. We're going to go for all the books that are like £1 or $1 at the very last. And we're going to start with all those new releases that are expensive at the start. So we're going to start with this. This is Song of the Mysteries by Janny Wirtz. This is the last book in her most current series. It cost me £20 and about $25 in the US. It's really, really, really big hardback. It's really, really pretty. And, you know, it's good to get these kind of first printing editions if you can for a decent price, just to save you paying big in the future, I think. Next up was another new release. It has been shown on several channels already, but that's The Greatest Hits by Harlan Ellison. This is really, really nice. It has French flaps, which you can always appreciate. It has several short works by Harlan Ellison in here. It's quite long. You get a few, almost 500 pages out of this one. And yeah, it's just such a cool design. It's just so lovely. Yeah, really happy to have that. That cost me, let me think, that was £14, so about $17. So not necessarily the cheapest because it's a new release. A few discounted new releases next. So for about £12, this new Conan book came out, Conan City of the Dead. John Hocking wrote this one. Yeah, so they're still making Conan books. This one's particularly long, about 500 pages in hardback. I really, really like the cover of this. The stenciling and everything's really, really nice. Makes me think almost of those kind of is it early 90s Conan comic lines. City of the Dead is a new Conan book you can pick up. It cost me £12 or about $15, as did, I've already shown this on the channel already, but You Like It Darker by Stephen King, a new release short story collection by King. £12 or about $15. Can be found quite discounted at the moment, so it's worth getting at the moment. Next up, a second-hand book. I actually had to pay £10 for the second-hand book, just because it's quite hard to get hold of. These complete collections, though, this one is of the ghost stories, the big book of ghost stories. These are massive, you get so many. This is big floppy tray paperbacks. So it did cost me £10 or about $12 for this one. But I think it's worth it, because you get so many good, well-edited stories in these. I have the big one of pulp crime novels as well. It's really, really, really good. Next up, I got a kind of first edition in really, really, really good condition. Look how white and lovely those pages are. This is Crown of Swords. Not the oldest book in the world. This is kind of, what was it, mid-90s, late 90s? This came out. This is book 7, I believe, in The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. One that I didn't have in hardcover, and it was in such exceptional condition that for about $12, I have really, really had to pick it up. It was just the condition more than anything that I was going for with that one. Those were the new and expensive books I bought this month. Let's go into the bargains. Let's start at the top. The most expensive bargain I bought this month was this. This is Crusaders by Dan Jones. It's a beautifully well-kept hardback. Lovely ribbon there and everything. Now, I'm going to read my first Dan Jones next month, and if I enjoy it, I've already got the next two planned. I have Essex Dogs and now I have Crusaders. He's really, really well thought of on Booktube and is a massive celebrity over here in the UK, so I'm really, really interested in Crusaders. That one cost me £4 or $5. It's not too bad there. For about $3.50 to $4, I picked up all of these R. Scott Baker books. This one is The Great Ordeal. It's a massive trade paperback, that one. In B format, I got The Thousandfold Fort, The Warrior Prophet, and The White Luck Warrior. Now, those are actually spread between two different series. I now have like maybe 5 out of 7 of the books of the series. So I'm getting there with the R. Scott Baker. When I've got them all, I will then decide whereabouts I'm going to add them to my TBR. Adrian Tchaikovsky is often known as a sci-fi writer, but he has a couple of fantasy series, and I hadn't seen this one before. This is book 1 and 2 in one of his fantasy series. Book 1 is called The Tiger and the Wolf. Book 2 is called Bear and the Serpent. These were almost like new condition. They cost $3 each, basically, or just over £2. So really cheap. 2 of them for less than a fiver over here in the UK. So I thought that was a really good deal. Next up, let's go to the bargain bin. So for £2 a piece, or $2.50 each, I picked up some Alien novels. This is the Alien novelization by Alan Dean Foster, the only one of these that I've actually read previously. I had a second-hand copy of this back in the day, probably around 1990. This was a really well-written novel. In addition, I have Aliens novelization, also by Alan Dean Foster, and Alien 3 novelization. And then I have Aliens Nightmare Asylum, Aliens The Female War, Aliens Rogue, and an Aliens vs Predator book. All of those are in really fabulous condition. So for about £2 or $2.50 each, they're a really good deal. Next up, for about £1.50 or less than $2, was by James Fenimore Cooper, Last of the Mohicans. It's quite a chunky boy, this one, but it's an old Penguin. These don't have the greatest quality paper, so they do tend to turn. This one's not terrible, but it's starting to go yellow. Now, all of these next books were £1, starting with a black-spined sci-fi masterworks. Here we have John Brunner, and this is Stand on Zanzibar. What a great cover that is. Black-spined SF. Masterworks there. No cracked spine either. Very nice. Next up for £1 is a hard case crime book. And this is by Brian De Palma and Susan Lehman. Are Snakes Necessary? I don't know why I keep buying these next books. I think it's just, I don't think, when am I going to get to read these? 10, 20 years down the line. They're going to be so slow down the TBR. But for £1, a hardback by Richard Lehman. This time we have The Midnight Tour. Every time I see these, the covers, it's the painted covers. I can't help it. It's £1. I keep picking these up. I'm going to have the whole shelf full of Lehman at this point. They don't even come highly recommended. Next up is by far the absolute bargain of the day. In hardback, still in good condition, is J.G. Ballard, Empire of the Sun, for £1. To pick this up for £1 in such good condition, in hardback, Empire of the Sun, a J.G. Ballard novel, yeah, what a find. And the cheapest book of the whole haul, for $1, less than £1, is The Warden by Anthony Trollope, a book that comes very highly recommended on Booktube, a classic that I haven't read. Is probably going to struggle to hit my top 100 classics I still need to read, but it will be in there, around number 100. But yeah, really good to have it. It's actually fairly dense, I think. It's 320 pages, not too bad. For some reason, the paper weight of this one is really heavy. Let me know, what is the biggest bargain you picked up this month? Did you find anything as cheap as £1 hardcover of J.G. Ballard? You know, did you get any of those new releases that I hold up? The Harlan Ellison, Stephen King, Jenny Wirtz? Let me know in the description below.